I have a question about, you've been talking recently about when we want something, our expanded self actually becomes that which we are desiring, and then it's up to us to come to the vibrational level where we can attract that into our lives.
Or let it in. Perfect words. And we'll just add a very little bit to it. In other words, if you've been sick, the non-physical part of you is weller than ever. If you have had not enough something, the non-physical part of you experiences more of it. Good. And?
So if that's actually a part of ourself that becomes that which we are manifesting.
Vibrationally speaking, the vibrational part of you first, then
right.
The rest of you.
Right.
Yes.
So if it's already a part of me, then how do I need to attract it if it's already me?
By finding the vibrational equivalent to it. So let's say, for example, you're sick, which makes you want to be well. The non-physical part of you becomes the vibrational equivalent of that wellness that you've asked for. Then when you turn and choose words that cause you to be a vibrational match to that, then you are that. In other words, by feeling your way to it, by finding the downstream thoughts until you are a perfect vibrational match to it.
So I'm really creating it and then waiting for myself to come to a connection where I can actually have it in my life.
Yes, and you know, it's a little bit of hair splitting about which part of you is creating which part of it, because the non-physical part of you created the idea of being physical, and then when there was no resistance within your being, you allowed that to come to fruition. And then that was good. Did you get that? And then the physical part of you launches further rockets of desire, which the non-physical part of you achieves vibrationally first. And then you bring yourself into alignment with that. So it's a matter of the mind of who you really are and the mind of who you're being of the same mind, right. Or the vibration of who you really are and the vibration of who you are allowing yourself to be of the same vibration, or the mood and attitude of who you really are and the mood and attitude of who you are being in your physical body being of the same mood or attitude.
Right. And I'm working on, in my life, getting out of the how it's going to happen, but staying with the what. Because I get into the how and I'm up here in my brain thinking, well, if this and this and this happens and this didn't happen, so I must be going away from it.
Well, you're right, because when you are more general, when you speak of what you want and why you want it, you're usually pointed downstream toward it. But when you start saying, how's it going to come? When's it going to come? Who's going to bring it? How's it going to come about? Then there can be a tendency to turn upstream if you don't know the answers to those questions. But something that is really fun is a blending of all of that, because how fun it is when you trust the law, you trust the stream, you trust the call of source, so you know it is inevitable that you get it, so you're turned mostly in the direction of it. So then when you are in that attitude or mode of knowing, then it is sort of fun to begin saying, how will it come about, and getting your creative mind in it.
Right.
It's fun to watch you, because generally speaking, it's not always true, but generally speaking, when we first begin to talk with our physical friends about you being the creator of your own reality, most of you say at first, oh, good, because you like the empowering feeling of that, and you have all kinds of things that you want. Then about a day later, well, soon after, once you realize that creating your own reality means lining up your thoughts, some of you then begin to sort of wish that you weren't responsible for creating your own reality, because you realize that directing your thoughts is something that you haven't been doing, and at first it feels a little bit awkward. But then once you start paying attention to your emotions, and once you get the idea of this downstream focus, and once you start hearing the call of source, which sounds different to you depending upon where you've put your boat in the stream, the better you feel, the more joyful the call of source sounds, and the worse you feel, not so joyful, but you can feel the feeling of relief in it. Once you get all of those things consciously in place, then it's really fun to start anticipating how it will come about, because that's part of the nuance of finely tuning your own creation. You want to get in on it as much as you can. So the rule of thumb that we would use if we were standing in your physical shoes is be as specific as I can be and still feel good. And just notice that when you get too specific, that you turn upstream, then just let go of it and go back to a general thought. But get in there and create your own reality. It's so much fun.
It is fun. What happens to those things that, I mean, I have plenty of desires. I have no shortage of that.
Enough to keep you busy for 20 or 30 lifetimes from where you stand, yes.
Yeah, in this moment, it's
Yes.
full of it.
Yes.
Now, what happens to the desires that I have that I never really do come into vibrational sync with? Do they stay? Do they go away? Where did those manifestations go to?
We like the question very much. So as you live in your physical body, surrounded by your environment of other creators and so much life experience, as you are sifting the contrast and giving birth to your rockets of desires, which are accumulating in your vibrational escrow, can't you also feel what a vibrational escrow must be being amassed in terms of mass consciousness?
Yeah.
So in the same way that you could find a new way of manicuring your yard that makes it more beautiful than anyone else on the block, which then inspires them maybe to some other behavior.
Right.
The non-physical rockets of desires that you set forth are inspirationally based also. So no thought is really an original thought. Everybody's picking up on it from somewhere. So while no one can deprive you of something that you've put in vibrational escrow, it doesn't mean that it's there only for you. It's there for anyone who achieves vibrational alignment with it.
So it's never wasted.
Oh, never wasted. You know what's really irritating? And do you know what the feeling of jealousy is?
Oh, yeah.
The feeling of jealousy is banging around, giving birth to a rocket of desire that you don't line up with, but somebody else does.
Very good. Yeah.
That's good, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that's
and
good.
what we want you to realize is just because they've lined up with it and achieved it does not mean they've taken it away from you, because there's no shortage in this, you see.
Right.
First time we've talked about that, and that's really worth talking about.
Right. Right. So, well, on that track then, if you, I mean, I've manifested some incredible contrast in my life, you know,
And we are all extremely appreciative of the donation of ideas that you have launched.
you're all very welcome. Now, do we create the perfect contrast that we need for ourselves, just like we create what we're desiring, to the contrast that can bounce us off of the ground to get us going in the direction we really want to be going into?
Well, it's perfect in the sense that whatever it is fine. And it's perfect in the sense that you can get to wherever you want to be from wherever you are. But only you can be the true judge of how perfect it is. Frankly, we think you all get more distance between where you are and where you want to be than we would if we were standing in your physical shoes, but we think you like the drama of it. In other words, Esther's been talking about something that happened in their experience recently, where the contrast of it was pretty strong, especially for Esther. And she felt herself feeling stronger, deeper negative emotion than she's felt in years. But as a result of it, a stronger rocket was launched than ever before, that she is now she's got herself back in alignment with who she is enjoying the benefit of it. And she knows that rocket is equivalent to where she was.
So is who she is now a more directed place than it would have been had she not gone through that experience of
More
experiencing
directed
that
more
contrast?
quickly, more directed more quickly. And it's like this. So a little contrast gives you a little rocket of desire, you turn toward it and you achieve it. A little contrast gives you a little rocket of desire, you turn toward it and you achieve it. A little rocket of desire, you turn toward it and you achieve it. And so it isn't that she wouldn't have gotten there, she just got there faster.
Oh, so we don't have to take these big bumps along
You
the way
don't,
if we don't
you
want
don't.
to.
And the thing is, someone like Esther, who now understands the contrast and understands the direction. Now, this is sort of what you were talking about earlier. She had the benefit of the stronger negative emotion, which gave her the stronger desire. And then she had the resources, and living with someone who was an encourager of better feeling thoughts, she got herself turned around. And so it wasn't a long period of time before she was in alignment with the rocket of desire that had been launched. But a lot of people that you see who don't know about emotion, they don't know about the stream, they don't recognize that it is the call of source, they might experience a similar contrasting thing that's big, and they might get stuck in the negative side of the contrast longer. That's why we recommend smaller contrasts, smaller leaps, easier to align with something. So you sort of have to decide for yourself. We notice that with most of you don't really take the time to clean up your vibration until you're hurting.
Right.
Most of you, if there are any other options, you're used to being annoyed. Onreadness doesn't bother you. It isn't until something really strong sets in that you do anything about cleaning up your own vibration, you see. So we recommend that once you know about cleaning up your own vibration, once you know, as you all are coming to know, that the source within you is the most active, alive part of you and is always calling you forward, once you know that you have the capacity to feel good always and how to find the best feeling thought from where you are, we see no reason or no value whatsoever in strong gap between what you're currently thinking and what you're wanting. We wouldn't play it that way, because there's not a price that you're supposed to pay. People have the idea that without pain there cannot be gain, and we see where they get that, can't you? But we're here to tell you that without contrast there can't be gain, but you get to choose how painful the contrast is.
Well, would it be true to say that we create the big gaps by not paying attention to the emotional guidance in the little portions along the way?
Perfectly said. Perfectly said. Very good. Very
Thank
good.
you so much.
Yes, indeed.